Here is Israel.
Hi there, my name is Goodenough. I'm a South African national, Christian who lives and has lived in Israel for about 25 years. I'm a journalist by profession and a tour guide in this country as well. As it has for a number of years now, the international anti-Israel group is gathering to hold its Israel Apartheid Week events, in which they attempt to draw parallels between the Zionist Jewish state of Israel and the racist apartheid South Africa that I grew up in. Grew up in South Africa, was born into a system that was set in place legislatively in 1948, the very same year that Israel was reborn in its independence. In South Africa, a system was set in place which would lock the majority of the black population out of the country in terms of citizenship, in terms of where they could live, where they could work, what they could benefit from. Every aspect of their lives was going to be affected, impacted, restricted by the system of laws known as apartheid. That's what I grew up in, a country where, as a member of the white minority, I grew up living in large houses. My family had multiple motor cars. We had swimming pools and all the privileges of white South African lifestyle, while millions and millions of black South Africans lived in poverty, in ghettos outside our towns and cities, or in the homelands to which they were relegated, their citizenship having been stripped from them and being forced to live in places like the Transkei, Zululand, Ciskei, and so on. So I grew up in a country and I know what apartheid is. In fact, I became a journalist because I was anti-apartheid. I was anti the idea of one group of people dominating and ruling over another in a way that was prejudicial to the human rights and the existence of the majority of my fellow countrymen. Now for 25 years I've lived and worked in Israel, a country of 8 million people. The majority here are Jews. That's 6 million of the 8, and close on 2 million of Israel's citizens are Arabs. There is no apartheid between Jews and Arabs in Israel. There is no robbing Israeli Arabs of their citizenship here. There is no limit on their ability to live where they want to live, to work where they want to work. They can get full education. In fact, enjoy all the privileges of life that Israeli Jews enjoy. There is no comparison, nothing remotely similar in modern-day Israel with the old South Africa, the South Africa that I grew up in. The charges that Israel is an apartheid state are kind of misdirected and applied to Israel's relationship with the Palestinian Arabs. The Palestinian Arabs are the same as the Israeli Arabs, except they're those who never accepted Israeli rule and they chose not to live in Israel. And in fact, they fled during the wars, 1948 and 1967 primarily, to become refugees in the creation of the State of Israel as a result of Arab rejectionism and war. Israel relates to those Arabs, the Palestinian Arabs, as non-Israelis, because that's what they are. They're not entitled to the rights and privileges of Israeli citizens, and no country in the world will allow people who reject their sovereignty and their very existence as a country to act as and to enjoy the benefits of being citizens. And that's where this whole comparison falls flat right from the beginning. Israel in and of itself is a democratic state. All Israelis, Arabs and Jews, they vote, they're represented in parliament. Israeli Arabs can reach the highest levels of society in Israel. We currently have a judge on the bench of the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, who's an Israeli Arab. The Israeli Arabs have a high-tech sector in which they are doing very, very well. They're benefiting. The homes they live in are beautiful, big, large mansions in many, many places. There is nothing in Israel that remotely resembles what I grew up in South Africa. The thing is that people can relate to apartheid in a political sense because of all the focus and all the attention that was put on South Africa with the dismantling of apartheid. And what was used to dismantle apartheid was, of course, boycotts and sanctions and economic pressure that finally brought the white government to agree to sit down and talk about power sharing, which eventually became one man, one vote, democracy for South Africa. That was what happened there. And it was like a big success story. And South Africa moved on into a post-apartheid era. Well, of course, the problems in that country are huge and enormous. The legacy of apartheid definitely living on there. But to try and apply that word, apartheid, to Israel, which has no basis, no foundation in the reality of life in Israel, of Israel's history, modern history, and of relationships between Arabs and Jews in Israel itself, is totally spurious, has no basis whatsoever. And I would encourage you, because if you're out there, especially if you're on campuses at this time of year, you're going to hear a lot about Israel Apartheid Week, and you're going to see the banners denouncing Israel for its apartheid activities, equating Zionism with racism, and all the stuff that's been going on already now for years. If you're going to take a stand, either for or against Israel, or for or against this whole idea, then at least find the facts out. Go out and research the facts. Go learn what apartheid was. Learn what it was like. Speak to South Africans, black and white. Speak to them, find out what apartheid was, and see whether you can find any resemblance to what goes on in the modern, thriving, growing, sharing state of Israel that is giving so much positive to its own people, to the Arabs of the region as well, even Arabs that it doesn't have, by the way, peaceful relationships with, peace agreements with, have been benefiting immensely from Israel's largesse, Israel's generosity, Israel's desire to live and to contribute very positively to the Middle East in which it exists. Israel Apartheid Week, it works, it's catchy, nice thought, nice idea for those who want to rally around a banner that they think, or they choose to think, will generate international global sanctions and boycotts against Israel that will do for in Israel what happened in South Africa. But it is without reality, it is without foundation, and it cannot work.
Here is Israel.